Thought I'd give you a brief rundown on how to build a box for a laser cut. I'm going to try and make this one out of thin little basswood, about 1.5 millimeters in diameter. So what we'll do is we'll start with a basic box, and we'll switch everything over to millimeters. And what we'll do is we'll give it a 100 millimeter width, a 100 millimeter depth, and maybe we'll do 50 millimeters across. And so let's see how that works for us. There, it's a nice little box. And what we'll do is for our material thickness, we don't like this 3 millimeter stuff. That's probably about 1.5 millimeters too thick. So let's go to 1.5 millimeters. That'll be the thickness of 1/16 inch basswood. And we'll have a closed box. And now that I think about it, you could go the other way with the orientation. You could make the depth 100, and then you could make the height perhaps 50. And that sort of flattens the box out. And now, let's see, we'll do T-slots. This will give us room for hardware. And what we'll do is we'll put in one bolt on each edge. That makes things a little bit simpler and cheaper. And for our bolt, we'll use the 2.5 millimeter M2.5 with a bolt length of 10 millimeters. That's a pretty small bolt. And let's have a look at this. That looks pretty good, actually. That's not bad. That'll hold together with bolts. We can always unscrew it later. Let's go with that. I like that. That's a nice box. We can fabricate that. And so what we'll do is we'll download the plans. And now you can see how it'll lay out. And what we'd like to do is we'd like to keep the labels on front, back, left, right, top, bottom. We're going to use the left and right sides because we're going to need to carve in holes for our little servo, which is going to have wheels. And probably going to need some holes in there as well. So let's do that. We'll download this as a SVG file. And then what we'll do is, for now, let's see if we can open it with Firefox. And see if Firefox can actually open this SVG file. I think it can. And there it is. So it opens fine. And you can save it. Now we're going to have to do some modifications. And for that, I'm going to switch to a new program called Thingiverse. Now here's Thingiverse right over here. I think it's called tinkercad. Sorry, I've got my head in the Thingiverse. Get my head out of the Thingiverse. So here's tinkercad, and what we'll do is we'll get ourselves out of the maker case. You could save this if you needed to create an account. You could save it, and we'll get tinkercad running. And then what we'll do is we'll import the design that we've created, our little custom case. And here it is, coming on in. I've already imported it. And what I'll do, because I need a hole for my servo, is I'll drag one of these little holes over here down to the area in here. Then I'm going to get myself a caliper and actually measure the width of the hole that's required in order to make a good fit here. So what we'll do is we'll create a hole which is perhaps 22.3 millimeters across. Actually, it might make sense to use integer numbers, and 1 millimeter or so is not a bad number to give yourself for slack. So yeah, you don't want to make it too tight. And then let's see, what shall we do for the height? The height of this box is going to be approximately 14 millimeters. So we can put that in there. And so now I got the width, I got the height, and let's see if that's right. Now we got to get the length. And we'll make the length approximately 23 millimeters. Now let's have a look if the orientation is right or not. Well, the 23 that I've gotten here, I really want it to be 14. So we're calling that the height. I get confused about which one's height and which one's width. Let's just put 14 in here and see what happens. No, I want it to go the other way. So we'll make this 23, and we'll make what he calls the length 14. I don't know why that should be the length, but there it is. So he calls that the length. Fine. And then what you want to do is grab the box, and move it. Right about there. And then we'll take the box here and the box behind it, and what we'll do is we'll group it together, and that will subtract the box so that you can actually fit the servo in. And that's kind of all you really need to do to get a box for the servo. Might like to do something similar again, and then put a servo in down at the bottom. Then get a couple of holes, put the holes in so that you can screw in the nuts and bolts you need to hold your servo. And that's how you make a little servo bracket in a box. So once you've got your stuff opened up in Boxy, you can do an export. You can add other things to Boxy. Boxy's got a whole bunch of panels and additional features that you might enjoy playing around with. There's barcodes and things like this, which seem kind of interesting. But in any case, if you output an SVG, you can, let's give it a name. We'll call it a box with servo holes. Save. And then if we go in and take a look, we've got the box with servo holes, and we could probably open it with anything we like. Here we'll open it with Firefox. And there's the box with servo holes. So that's that. You can send that to the laser cutter. Just make sure you got things sized properly. And you should be able to fabricate a box with servo holes if you like. Maybe you'd put in some holes for a caster, and some holes for screws on the top and the sides. You might like another servo on the top if you're going to try and steer around some sort of a LiDAR system. So you can have lots of fun with this one. Thanks a bunch. Hope you like my little video. Talk to you later. Bye.